The movie begins on December 1944 on the German-Belgian border. The American soldiers walk the forest of Hurtgen with their hands on their heads while guarded by the Germans. After a few moments of walking, they halt, and the Germans inspect their bags and uniforms to strip off their weapons and throw them away. Then, the 4 Germans command them to dig on the ground while pointing their rifles at them. Sergeant Gregory Falcone plans to fight and defend themselves against the Germans, given that only 3 out of 4 are armed in his team. Briefly, one of the Germans goes near them and throws his cigarette at Gregory. He picks it up, smokes, and throws it back to the German soldier. Then, the German soldier orders them to get up and line up. They get one of Gregory's soldiers and make him kneel, turning his back on them. The German points his rifle at him and shoots. Just like that, he rolls and lays down dead on the hole they dug earlier. Then, they make the other captives line up and kneel in front of them while the Germans point their guns behind them. Subsequently, one soldier is killed by cutting his neck with a knife. He rolls down the pit like his former comrade. Now that only 3 of them are alive, Gregory goes mad and shouts, signaling his remaining comrades to fight back. Being caught off guard, the German soldiers did not see the attack coming, and the Americans overpowered them. However, Private David does not evade being shot by their enemies. Gregory hurries as he tries to assure David that he will live. Then, he asks Private Michael Mikey Boston to carry him back to a camp of their allies. As they arrive at the base, he shouts with all his heart for the medic. Immediately, the doctor reaches David and inspects his condition. They carry him on the stretcher and rush him into a tent. In a moment, Jackie goes out to meet the 2 soldiers. She informs them that their comrade did not make it and gives Gregory his badge. She commends him for writing personal letters to the families of his deceased allies. Finally, they offer the upset soldiers to eat hot chow as they hear that they have not eaten for days. One morning after a mission, Jackie comes out of one of the tents and greets Gregory. They discuss each other's hobbies before the war, like reading Shakespeare, wherein he shares that he likes The Tempest most. Then, he asks if the nurses have gotten the supply they need for the medic tents, but she answers that it got cut off and will stay that way for a few days. After that, he lights a cigarette, and she asks if he's okay, to which he honestly says no. He adds that the man who just died at the table in one of the medic tents is a soldier and his friend. Moreover, he shares more about his journey as a soldier from the enlisted from Pearl Harbor until he came to Europe after Roosevelt's speech of declaration of war. He wants to be a soldier to correct what is wrong. Afterward, he tells about their mission on the beaches of Normandy and Omaha, where MG-42s and the pillboxes await to kill them. He still can't move on from his loss, as it is still vivid how his friends were executed during that mission. He gets the Nazi flag and ponders how many more people have to die to stop one tyrant. Alternately, Jackie tells him that it is just a piece of cloth and their minds give it meaning. Immediately, he gets a bottle of gas, pours it on the flag, and throws his cigarette to burn. In the next scene, Gregory spends his time writing a letter to his mother. After that, Michael joins him and gives him a cup of fresh water. He drinks from his cup and proceeds to talk to him. They chatter about Michael writing back to his family. Still, he finds it senseless because of how death chases them daily. Furthermore, he asks his friend about the things he looks forward to as he gets home, like watching the Yanks, but he continues to say that he's in no way excited about that as they talk about the characters. Suddenly, bombs start to rain on their location. They immediately go to position and cover themselves. Gregory asks about the motives and the site of the bomber. After that, they decide to find the place of their enemy. As they go near the enemy's area, Gregory finds 1 loader and 2 supports using the mortar. Then, he throws a grenade at them, then gunfire starts between the opposing units. Finally, they execute the Germans and go back to their aid station. Back at the aid station, which the enemies have bombarded, they come across the medic tending to the wounded soldiers. Most of their soldiers are found dead by the nurses. After a while, the colonel arrives at their station and commands them to gather all the unit leaders. He leads a meeting in one of the tents. He notifies them that the Krauts haven't put the 88s on them, which is an anti-aircraft and anti-tank artillery gun, since they are currently focusing on firing their second armor just a few miles away. He updates them that Operation Queen is about to fail. They must withdraw their units to prevent their wounded men from being murdered and their nurses harassed. Additionally, he tells them that the Germans are already on the move and that they might be in their station the following day. He continues discussing his plan by informing them about the petrol site 1,000 yards away, which will indeed be invaded by the Krauts and will give them some time. He orders them to immediately assemble the wounded soldiers so that they can have a chance to save some of their comrades before the attack. On the contrary, Gregory suggests that the few Rangers left may take out the petrol station to give the Krauts a difficult time. The idea can also provide the nurses and the wounded more time. At that moment, the colonel warns them about the MG nest and snipers they can encounter during their venture. Still, Gregory assures them that the 3 Rangers left are enough to get the job done. Still, the colonel agrees with their mission and demands them to prepare. Briefly, Gregory and Michael go to the medic station to get themselves aided before going on the task. At once, the nurses instruct them to sit down to check on their wounds and patch them up. In the next scene, the 3 Rangers prepare their weapons. Michael asks his comrades if they think they can make it. Gregory answers that they have no choice but to do the mission successfully, or else the people in the camp will also suffer. Conversely, Archer says that the Rangers are constantly attacked and assigned to the most dangerous missions. Gregory states that he volunteers the team for the mission and that the Rangers must lead the way for their allies. He reminds them that they are in a war, and it is simply that way, no comfort and warmth. Then, he says he does not want to hear any more complaints from them. Subsequently, the 3 Rangers begin with their venture toward the petrol station. They walk for a long time until Gregory recommends that they take a break first. He tells them that based on their map, they still have 700 yards until they reach the petrol station, and they can reach it in 2 hours if they maintain their pacing. He says it's better to go nice and slow because there are mines on their way. After talking, Gregory tells them to continue their walk slowly. Meanwhile, a German sniper is hiding in the thick bushes. Suddenly, it fires at Archer's leg, and the other men immediately find cover behind the tree and slope of the terrain. At the same time, Archer struggles as he informs his team where the sniper is. He is told to find cover and tries to, but the sniper shoots him again near his chest. That being the case, Gregory commands him to stay down. Then, he asks Michael if he can go to Archer, replying that he can. He plans to let Michael reach Archer as he covers him. Michael runs and then crawls his way to go near Archer. Next, Gregory whispers that he will proceed on the left to make the sniper draw his fire at him, then he is going to attack him from behind. At the same time, Michael questions the sniper's location again, but he labors to answer. Meanwhile, Gregory runs his way to the sniper's location, hiding from tree to tree, then crawls. In lieu, Michael ensures to keep Archer conscious by talking to him and making him look into his eyes. He tells him to roll over the ferns to proceed near him. However, the sniper once again fires at him, making him weaker. He becomes frustrated and scared and requests Michael to come to get him. He cries and pleads to be saved, but Michael is also perplexed by the situation. He does not know the right time to pull him closer because they are unaware of where the sniper is. Archer, afraid for his life and wanting to survive, reaches out his hand as he calls for Michael. Then, the sniper finds him and shoots once again in his head, which kills him, which upsets Michael as he witnesses his friend die. Concurrently, Gregory approaches the sniper's back and shoots him 4 times, killing him. He shouts victory, but this does not make Michael feel any better as they failed to save their friend. Afterward, they point Archer's rifle on the ground and his combat helmet on it as a tribute and sign for his grave. The men continue to walk until the following day. They crawl on the ground as soon as they spot the enemies. They exchange gunfire. Then, Gregory informs Michael that he will flake left to surround the enemy. After that, Michael shouts clear as he thinks that they have executed the entire enemy. However, a military gun again fired at them, making them reach for defenses. They crawl and hide behind trees from the enemy's sight. Meanwhile, Gregory reaches a blind spot where he can shoot at the enemies. Then, Michael hit them with a bazooka, knocking down most of the enemies at once. He runs toward the remaining German and angrily shoots and stabs him. He is stopped by Gregory, who calms him down by reminding them that they are not like them. The following day, the 2 men move again to the petrol station. They scrabble down as they perceive the enemies in the area. Gregory says that he got 1 bag of grenades and discusses his plan. He targets to go around the corner to throw a grenade, making the Germans come at him. He adds that Michael will be shooting at them while they are occupied with his presence. At that point, he will take the satchel charge, toss it at the tent, and try to get the barrels of gasoline in it. After a few seconds, they hear a military tank approaching the vicinity. Michael says they must not let them fuel up at the station as it will take a toll on their wounded men and nurses. The tank stops right in front of the trees where they are hiding. As the Germans descend the tank, they creep behind it. Then, Gregory throws a grenade at them, triggering the opposing units to exchange fires immediately. They make the military tank their cover as they shoot the enemy. Afterward, they throw a grenade at the enemies once again. Subsequently, Michael notices the track of spilled oil near them from where the enemies are. He releases his lighter and throws it on the petrol. The fire quickly moves toward the oil barrels, which leads to an explosion. The Germans shout as they burn. After that, Gregory tells Michael they must go, so they ride the military tank. The next scene shows an encounter between the Germans against Gregory and Michael in the forest. They hide behind trees as they fire at each other. Then, Gregory tells his teammate that they have over a mile to get back to their base, and they have to keep giving each other cover. They shoot the enemies again, and Gregory orders Michael to throw out a grenade as he covers for him. Immediately, Michael runs farther from the enemy, then Gregory follows while hiding in the trees. They run to escape their enemy while the German soldiers continue to go after them throwing grenades, which they evade. In a time to come, they stumble upon a barricade of Germans. They wrestled against them where Michael had been stabbed. He struggles but manages to fight him. Meanwhile, the other German overtops Gregory and strangles him. Still, he can grab a weapon to hit the enemy on the head and then shoots him when he loses his position. On the contrary, Michael stands up weakly. He tries to hit the enemy with his rifle once more, but an unnoticed German beside them shoots him. Gregory shouts and fires at him. He panics and assures his friend that he will make it, but he has to get up and return to their station. He struggles as he carries the body of his friend. After a while, he decides to rest and puts Michael down. However, another German finds them and shoots at him, making him find for cover, then fires at Michael. He shoots at the German and immediately checks on his friend. Michael's last request before his last breath is to make Gregory give his father a letter. At that moment, Gregory cries for his loss and takes his comrade's necklace. All of a sudden, he is fired at again. He crawls his way on the ferns and strives to survive. Then, he stops and lies down to remove some of his weapons and continues to crawl again. Meanwhile, a military tank approaches his way, and he stops to shoot at the tank vainly. The tank charges at him, and he dishearteningly shouts. As he stops by the road, he hears another tank approaching which he recognizes as his ally. The Allied tank fires at the Germans and stops to give him aid. He is placed on a stretcher, and the soldiers transport him to the medic. The movie ends as they finally reach the medic station, where he sees Jackie ready to heal him. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.